When a state tears itself apart, the survivors do what defeated peoples have always done. They reach for the nearest woman and say, it was her. Her name was Liji. This time she did act, but only inside a frame someone else had built, with tools the court handed her. She is blamed for a war she did not start, and condemned for a ruin she did not cause. The more you read, the smaller her hand gets, and the larger the machine behind it. She is the most vilified woman in the founding myths of the state of Jin. More than 2,000 years of retelling blame her for a civil war that spilled across a full generation, exiles, assassinations, 2 child kings murdered on the throne, a succession crisis so deep it took 19 years of wandering before the house righted itself. The legend, a foreign seductress who poisoned a state from the bedchamber, framed the crown prince, broke the line of succession, and laughed an ancient house into the grave. Strip the legend. The war she is blamed for was already baked into the structure before she arrived. The bedchamber was never the engine, only the room where the story was pinned. Liji was not a plotter who sailed in with a plan. She was a prize. Her people were the Lirong, a Rong tribe in the hills around Mount Li on the western Zhou marches, small, vulnerable to the expanding states of the center. When Jin conquered them, their chief bought peace with tribute, and the most valuable tribute was his daughters. Liji and her sister were handed to Duke Xian of Jin as part of a peace settlement, a gift, a thing given to stop a sword. She crossed the border as a trophy, not a strategist. The chronicle that would call her the ruin of Jin records, in passing, that she entered the court as a present. Hold that word, present. She was the gift, and she would also become the accusation. The same woman, twice named, first by the men who took her, then by the men who lost. The man who received her was Duke Xian of Jin, and the crisis was his before it was hers. Xian turned Jin from a regional power into the dominant state of the north, absorbing more than a dozen neighbors and forcing nearly 40 more into submission. His counselor Sherwei advised him to eliminate not his enemies but his own family, the cadet branches of the ducal house, his own cousins. Xian did, purging the collateral kin. The result, a court with a terrifying center and no buffer, one ruler surrounded by sons and no settled law of who came next. The man who most feared challenge built the most fragile inheritance. And Xian had sons. By an earlier wife he had Xinxing, the crown prince, virtuous, stationed at Xue, the ancestral seat of Jin's ruling line. By other wives he had 2 grown sons of standing, Chong'er and Yiwu, both with their mother's border clan backing. Then Liji bore him Shichi, late, when the duke was old and the succession already a fault line. The crisis was the duke's own making. Too many heirs, no fixed rule of primogeniture, a court purged of mediators, an aging warlord who trusted jealousy over his eldest son. Liji did not invent this. She was inserted as the youngest son's mother, the most exposed woman in a house built to devour the unprotected. The framing machines show how little agency she held. In the discourses of the states, Liji anointed her hair with honey so bees clustered around her, then called the crown prince over to wave them away while the duke watched from afar. To a man primed to suspect, the picture wrote itself. She supplied the image, the court supplied the belief. In the Zhou tradition, she told Xinxing his dead mother had come to her in a dream and longed for an offering. The pious prince sacrificed at Xue and sent the consecrated meat to his father. The duke was hunting. Liji laced the meat and wine with poison. When Xian returned she cried out, "Test it on a dog, it died. Test a servant, he died." The trap pointed at the one man who could not defend himself without accusing his own father and his father's wife. Xinxing did not flee or plead. Asked why, the records give him a stark logic. To prove my innocence I must expose my father's wife as a poisoner and my father as a fool. A son does not shame his father to save himself. To run is to carry the stain of regicide abroad, unwelcomed. No third door. He hanged himself. The system left him one exit and called it filial piety. The other sons ran. Chong'er, whose mother was a Di woman, fled to the Di, Yiwu fled to Liang. Chong'er wandered 19 years across the northern courts, Di, Wei, Qi, Chao, Song, Chu, Qin, until, backed by Qin, he returned as Duke Wen, one of the 5 hegemons of the spring and autumn era. The irony the chronicles never underline. The woman blamed for driving out the princes is the reason the greatest became a hegemon. Strip her away and Chong'er might have stayed a comfortable prince, never forged by exile into the ruler history admires. The legend needs a villain. History quietly made her the anvil on which a hero was hammered. Why does her name carry the war, not the man who started it? Because winners and losers both needed a story. When Xian died and infant Shichi took the throne, the minister Li Ke killed the boy within months. The court crowned Shuzi, Liji's sister's son, the other gift, and Li Ke killed him too, then killed her. The gift was disposed of when useless, the sister and the infant bloodline wiped out. The state that received her as a prize destroyed her to the last child. Yet the chronicles remember not the court that murdered a child and 2 concubines, but the woman who ruined Jin. The killers wrote the book. The gift became the accusation, and outlived every man who spoke it. The arithmetic, twice. Xian, who bred the crisis, is a vigorous expander. Shenxing, cornered to suicide, is filial devotion. Chong'er, exiled then great, is a hero. Liji, handed over, framed, murdered with her children, is the catastrophe. Same event, for memories, one curse. The architect is a conqueror, the dupe a saint's son, the exile a hero, the woman the ruin. The machine needed her not guilty but there, foreign, close to the man who decided. Who was she under the myth? The records give almost nothing except one scrap. In the discourses she weeps, telling the duke she fears the grown stepsons with their border backing, threats to her infant in a court where the unprotected son is dead. She speaks as a mother in a hall where the wrong word ends you. Even her condemners show self-defense, not malice. The fear in her voice is the one true thing we have. A girl from a defeated tribe, given away by her own people, handed to a court as a prize, watching her infant become a throne then a corpse, then blamed for the blood. The victors made her a symbol, and symbols do not get to be afraid. The same seed as Daji, Baosi, Zhang Lihua, Shishir, find the woman nearest the throne and make her the reason. With Liji the formula doubles, prize and accusation in one. The foreign woman who destroys a house is a role history manufactured, not a person it met. Lu Xiang's biographies of exemplary women files her under wayward favorites, blame built into the shelf. The category is the verdict, and outlives the court, and the part not ancient. We still do it, in houses without throne rooms. When a family fractures or a firm falls, the culture reaches for the woman beside the man, the trophy wife, the foreign bride, the other woman who pulled the strings. The frame explains failure as a man led astray, and spares the structure that failed, the unsettled succession, the missing checks, the concentrated power. The woman brought in as a prize is blamed, then discarded. The political wife blamed for her husband's corruption, as though proximity were cause. The foreign spouse blamed for a family's undoing, as though difference were guilt. The mechanism needs her not guilty but there, female, close to the man who decided. Then it writes the ending in her name. Strip the legend and what remains is a poor girl from a conquered people, handed over as a gift, trained by circumstance into a role she did not choose, blamed by the court that took her. The tragedy is not that beautiful or afraid, but that two structures, the court that received her as a prize, the chroniclers who needed a curse, built a story where her presence was the only cause worth naming, and every man's decision was forgiven. The woman was the face, the machine was the cause, and the face is the only thing the chronicle remembers to hate. Next time, the consort laid bare before an empire and blamed for its collapse. We'll trace Feng Xiaolian, the body that became the excuse.